like Miami. Miami, 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 Miami. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Heapy Podcast. I'm your host, Giancarlo Navas. On week of Thanksgiving, a lot to be thankful for, as some of you saw in Hangover Time last night. I'm Giancarlo Navas, your host. With me today, reality check master Tiffany Meeks.
Hey.
Tiff.
Yes.
On this wonderful Tuesday, November 22nd, Miami is in the mud. Erik Spoelstra is saying nonsense in press conferences. Everyone's a little unhinged. Everyone's been Joker-fied. You lose a couple heartbreakers. The Cleveland game, that shit was as embarrassing as anything, even with the no healthy bodies. The other losses, Toronto, Minnesota, and Washington, slobber knocker heartbreakers, could go either way. Shout out to the Deuces. And here we are. We are in doomsday, on a holiday week where we should be happy, excited to see our loved ones. We're all deciding who to blame, who to trade, and whether to tank or not. Tiff, it's crazy out here.
The streets are dangerous.
It's dangerous. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, we got to stop. This team will never go into full tank mode. The organization is not going to do it.
Even when they've been bad. In the past.
Even if for some reason they end up in the draft with a high lottery pick, that just means a lot of things went wrong. That just means a lot of injuries happened, a lot of things went wrong. This team is never going to tank on purpose. So that's out of the question.
I think, and I say this not as a shot at anybody. I'm friends with everybody, most people in the local media here. It's just I just don't. I understand maybe trading Max Strus or Gabe Vincent for some sort of draft equity is probably the right play in a year that you're not going to contend. And I think history shows, don't overspend on role guys. And I think Miami in particular has been burned by it a couple times, especially now where, now it's not Duncan's going to go for nothing. Now it's you don't have cap. You just straight up, you don't have room and your extensions are all kicking in. So it's it feels like not really an option unless, these dudes are going to take super team friendly deals. And if you're Max Strus and Gabe Vincent, why the hell would you do that? Right. So I get people saying that. I just don't think it's really in some sort of reality. And Tiff, I have people in my Twitter mentions are you gotta do something. And I was like, what do you want me to do? You want to go pick it at FTX? That's $10 million that they don't have now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Chat saying Sage.
Short of. Yeah. Well, I mean, you could do that.
We're beyond the spirits and the ancestors.
I don't know what people really think. Can happen right now. What do we think we're gonna do? We're not going out tomorrow getting a 3-level star. It's not happening. Maybe there's some buyout people flying around here. Maybe they'll scrap one of them up. But I in my whole heart believe this is the team you're gonna have until the trade deadline. I just don't see the Heat making a hasty decision right now. Yes, everyone is panicking. The fans are panicking. The house is on fire and we're sitting here drinking tea in it.
Yeah.
But realistically, I just don't see what you do that's going to make that big of an improvement right now.
That was my thing in the offseason, Tiff. People are John Collins or X player, right? And I'm that doesn't make me feel like I'm a contender. And a lot of these guys, we're locking them into multi-year deals when you have extensions kicking in. So, I look at John Collins' salary And I'm like, yeah, that's just too much money. It gets into the mid-20s, when Jimmy and Bam and Tyler's extension. I was like, you just can't do that. So it's like, yeah, he's a good player. Obviously, he would make your team better because they stink. But also, you have to look at the future, and it's like, yeah, maybe you make your team a little better, but you cap yourself quite literally, and also your team, the high end of your team, I think it's capped a bit. Guys like that, and I think Lauri Markkanen was a guy that you loved, right?
Yeah.
And like you and Bond were super right on Lauri Markkanen, 100% right. But the problem is, and I've talked about this on the pod before, if you're the organization and you're going to commit that kind of money to Lauri Markkanen, you need to be like 100% fucking sure, because if he's not good, you are stuck with that dead money. And they already fucked up with Duncan. So I can understand them being a little squeamish on that money.
Right.
So that's my thing. So that's my thing with like guys like that. So either you got to be 100% sure, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's why they have to be like real needle moving guys. Like Mitchell. We like Mitchell. They just didn't have the goods. Like clearly they had a package. But so I guess it's like improvements like that. It's like, what's the point of doing those in the offseason?
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay. And now that we've even passed, hey Kenny, and now that we've even passed the offseason, like right now, it's like, why? Yeah, it's kind of like you're damned if you're just damned if you do, because why at this point would I go out and trade Max and Gabe for, I don't know, a pick, when you literally need them right now? Like, the pick doesn't help you right now. So you really need them right now. You need to stay afloat right now. So why would I even invest in doing that? Like, that makes no sense.
It doesn't. And listen, they're also like kind of not the team to just commit to full tank. Like, it is what it is. Even when they drafted Winslow and Bam, that was not a full tank. Those are teams that were trying to make the playoffs that barely missed.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's a little different as we bring in Kenny. What's up, my man?
Trying to adjust my damn mic. OBS is a little confusing.
You're a little hot. It's okay. We'll lower you till you figure that out. I do have some sound from Spo to play. Kenny and Tiff may or may not be able to hear it, but I thought it was pretty kind of telling from last night's game.
Now, at some point, hopefully we'll be getting some guys back, even if they're not fully 100%. As long as they're close enough, maybe they can give us a little bit of reinforcements, even if it's just shortened minutes. That's where we are right now. Just give us whatever you have. Whatever you have, just give us. Even if you're used to playing 30 minutes, give us 15. If you're used to playing 20 minutes, give us 8. So we can kind of manage things right now. But now that's
so. Not, and that video is courtesy of Brady Hawk of 5 Reasons Sports. And it was as alarming as I've heard Spo comments. I think that the Ira article was a little bit, I think it exaggerated it a bit. But I do think that the thing, it's there. They don't, the Heat, Tiff, don't operate by accident. That was, Spo said those comments on purpose. Right. He wants some of these guys.
That was planned.
Yeah. Whether that be Tyler, whether that be Gabe, because they've done it with Winslow. They've absolutely done it with Winslow.
Right. So
I don't really know. I don't really know where we are. How did you feel about the comments?
It's interesting because I'll say this. If he already said that behind closed doors, I don't mind it. If you've already spoken to players and you've already said, listen, where are you? What's going on? If you've talked to the staff, if you've talked to the doctors, I don't mind it. I think I mind it more so if it just was out of the blue. Because we don't know what the injuries are. Like, let's be realistic. We don't know the severity of any of these injuries.
And they hide them.
And that's the point that I'm making. So if Tyler's ankle is a lot worse than we think, I don't need to see him Wednesday. Like, that's the reality of it. If it's worse than we think, we don't need to see him for 10 minutes. because 10 minutes could make the difference between his season being over. Like we don't need that. So I, I don't know. I guess, like I said, I'm a little bit indifferent if the conversation's already had. I kind of feel a type of way about it if it wasn't mentioned and it was just said out into the open, out into the abyss, because it wasn't in a vacuum. Um, so I think that it's going to be interesting to see who comes back. When's the next game? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow against Washington.
Yeah. So I think that's the telltale. That'll be the telltale sign. Let's see who comes back.
Kenny, what did as we bring you in here? What did you make? Chat saying we have white hot takes saying these comments are being overblown. Fez Butter said milking injuries to avoid playing with Kyle. Somebody else said Spo just sounds desperate and stressed. He's not going after anyone. He's just begging for anything. That's what it felt like to me. It was like, what do you motherfuckers help me?
Yeah, it's just I didn't take it as him calling anybody out. I don't think they're not gonna call guys out on injuries. It's kind of
they've done it, Kenny.
They've done it before.
They did it with Winslow.
with Justice.
They did.
Justice is like a strange person.
And they did it to Hassan. They literally went on the record and said he's no Udonis Haslam, and we all know what that meant.
And FYI, not gonna lie. If Hassan called me and said, "Tiff, will y'all take me back?"
Oh yeah.
I might drive and pick him up right now.
Oh, easy.
But yeah, just looking at this roster, like we know for sure Jimmy is not like exaggerating. The people on this roster want to play. And so I didn't really take it that way necessarily. I do think it's just more so Spo is in a really tough position right now. Like some of the guys he's playing heavy minutes would be in Sioux Falls if the team weren't in the situation they're in, and we can be honest about that. So he just wants some kind of reinforcements. It was more of a desperation thing, but it's just not. I didn't take it as shots towards anyone. It's just he is in a very tough position. They're trying to win some games. Day to day, we have no idea who's playing and who's not. And so he's just like, hey, if anybody can give us anything, please do. It's just more so at that than him like going after anybody.
I mean, and you could be 100% right, but I don't. There's something to be said for quiet desperation, and then there's something to be said for opening the window. He opened the window. So my problem with all of this is, and guess what? He's desperate. The players are desperate. We know they want to play. Like that. There's no question about that. But the problem is if someone tries to come back too soon.
Oh yeah, they should definitely not do that.
See, that's my worry. Like I said, we have no idea what really is going on with Tyler's ankle. Like we don't know. So if he hears this and he's like, I can do it, I can give it a go. Like that's the difference between him saying, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to be playing 15 to 20 minutes for the next 5 games. Or he could come back and sustain a serious injury. So those are the things that worry me.
Yeah, playing injured, that's something I just don't even believe in. It's just not, worth it, especially now in November.
Right.
Just take the time to heal up.
And that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to see dudes,
They do believe
Yeah, they do, for sure.
Do.
But I just,
yeah.
There's some stuff, and I love the Heat. I've been a Heat fan since I was 4 years old, literally. But there's just some stuff with the culture stuff that's a little antiquated. Guys shouldn't be playing injured in November. There's just no pay. There's a lot more risk than reward in that case.
They don't. And listen, a lot to be said about, Kyle's durability here. Surprising me for sure. That motherfucker, let me tell you something. As someone who has had Kyle on his fantasy team for a decade, that dude has a fucking hand injury every year. He's the Anthony Davis of hand injuries. Something's always wrong with Buddy's hand. And so far, so good, bro. He's going to fucking hurt his hand tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Don't say that.
Let's not say that. They have nobody to fight.
Yeah. I'm
Who?
sorry.
Geez.
I'm sorry.
So
but to the point is like, yeah, I mean, that's just part of kind of how they operate. And, if guys are a little nicked up, they're like, well, buck up and get your ass out there and try to fucking help us. Cause God, look at Haywood Highsmith, who, God bless him. He fucking tries really hard. Yeah. I mean, I get why Spo likes him. That dude leaves if he had more talent, he'd be Michael Jordan. It's the way that dude, the motor. Tiff, you're laughing. Bro, I see man fighting under the basket between Gobert and Cat for rebounds as they grind him literally like he's like in between the. It's just dude is getting destroyed.
First of all, it's been 2 games in this slide where all of my agendas were clicking at once. Hamish showed up in 2 games. I don't know where he got it. I don't know how it happened, but he had me going back into believing in him. Like I literally was like, oh, he could be serviceable. Man, he's somewhere in between serviceable and putting gas in my car. Like I don't even understand. Like I don't understand how the pendulum just swings that way with him. Like how did he look so good one night and then all of a sudden? And I know because he's not ready.
Which
like
night?
I know
Which
that's
night
why.
did he look good?
Like
What do you have?
that one fourth quarter, he was
14.
yeah.
What was it? 14 and 12 when he gave us 14 and 12
in the
He
Washington
had like 13
game.
rebounds that game.
In the
Yeah,
Washington
he had like 13
game?
rebounds.
Yep.
He had the good stretch at the end. I will give him that.
Right, but gee,
Yeah.
sometimes all
That's all you
stars
need. That's all you
mess
need.
around and have a good stretch at the end, and that's all you
Yeah.
need. But like, man, oh man, is he not closer than I thought? I thought he was closer than this.
Kane
He's
too,
not.
by the
And-
way. Kane, I
and,
thought
yeah.
Kane, I thought was.
I
more
thought
ready.
Kane was ready, was closer too. He's not,
And now,
which is fine.
I
Which is
think
fine.
Jovic.
'cause-
I don't think Jovic is there either, and I understand why he hasn't played a lot, but they just gotta give him run and let him figure it out.
Well, that's what it is at
Yeah,
this
when
point.
when the offense stagnates, he at least like gives you movement. He gives you an
Yep.
option there. Like I understand the defense is
The defense
there's
is
still
not
work
there.
to be done there. Yeah, there's
Right.
still work to be done there for sure. But I think if you're in like and I'll point this out, if you're gonna be in zone anyway, like you just because I would like to see like how much of a connection there is between Jovic going out and when the game just goes downhill. Because it's like they every first half like they look great and he looks great, and then second half he doesn't play as much and they kind of just like
Right.
shit the bed. And so I don't know if and to be honest, he doesn't look as well conditioned as a 19-year-old should either.
No, he's huffing and puffing a lot.
Okay. But I would like to see him more in these second halves and see if that changes anything.
Cairo in chat says he's generally in the right place on defense. He's just a soggy noodle.
That's true. He
It's
moves
true.
very awkward. Yeah.
It's true.
Bronx Joker says Jovic is way ahead of Kane and Highsmith. I agree. I think.
Oh no, he's way ahead of them. Just by his sure movement towards the basket, you can see how much better he is.
I mean, Jovic no Bam's only -2 per 100 possessions, which, let's be honest, given their backup 5 history, that's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Like, I think you take that because
Right.
Bam's plus 4. Yeah, you're winning by 2. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bam plus Jovic in 36 minutes are -15 per 100 possessions with a 119 defensive rating. I don't know how much of that is. A lot of that's with the starting lineup. You know, so you have Kyle, Max, Bam, Caleb. So it's mostly plus defenders and Jovic.
Right.
You know. So I think that's a little alarming that that's not good defensively. But that's kind of like, you know, if teams are going to, you know, spread the floor and shoot and they're going to put Jovic in actions, I think generally Bam's been out of them when Jovic is in the game, which I think is kind of contrary to like what you want. You want Bam in as many. Who was a player that said, who was a player that was talking about pick and rolls? Was it Halliburton, Tiff, or Kenny? When he's like, you know, I was, you know,
Yeah, that was Tyrese.
he's like, I called my big up for a pick, and I go, wait a second, that's Bam. I don't want that dude. Bring me back Struz. I'm like, damn, bro. Like, good for Bam, but like, shit. I take that shit personally, bro. That was so funny.
No, but you know, I think too. I noticed because they're like a mash unit. They're not even depleted at this point. They're like a mash unit.
Bro, they play
Like-
without a point guard. Like when Kyle
Right.
sits,
Man,
It's like,
y'all-
yo,
let me
Caleb-
tell
Those
y'all
minutes are
something.
so rough.
Caleb
But let me tell
Jovic,
y'all something.
you handle.
Y'all know I love Caleb. I do. Lord knows I do. Lord knows I do. But if I see Caleb dribbling that ball up the court one more time and then try to Like, what is happening? What I don't like.
Him and Max gotta stop over dribbling. Like, just I get it, but like,
Because they don't know what to do.
Bro, okay, wait,
Gee,
real quick.
They're not supposed to be in this position.
it's so funny. And like, so that possession where Max shot the air ball, obviously that was everyone's fault. Because like Kyle half-ass set a screen.
Kyle has to go
The
get the
screen
ball.
Bam
down
half-ass
that
set
play.
the screen. Like, it
They
was
shouldn't
just
even be
shit.
screening for him. Get the ball.
Somebody
Kyle.
asked which
Get
air
the
ball.
Right. These two bad ones, and Kyle was running away from the ball. No, Kyle.
My man's
Get the
tired.
ball.
You know,
Gee.
I get you. No, I'm with you. You got at that point. You cannot put
out
the
there-
game in Max Struess's hands like
Right.
that.
Or if you're putting it in his hands, let that
Run
man
something,
run
yeah.
off some screens.
Yeah,
Like, run a play.
let him do
Don't
cardio.
Man, Max came down like he was John Stockton, and as soon as I saw the hesitation dribble, because it's like a half hezi, it ain't a full,
Yeah,
and I saw it, and I said, Max, don't shoot it. And when he shot the air ball, you know what I did? Turned it off.
Tim, I swear to God, second he rose up, I go, we fucking lost. I go,
And you know
no
what?
fucking chance that goes.
And I get mad at Max, but this time I can't even be mad no more.
It was
He don't
funny.
even know what city he in at this point.
Yeah, he-
Between him, Kyle, and Caleb, yo, everybody should come back, and those three should take a break.
Tiff, let me
Yeah.
tell you something. The vibes in the first quarter and the second quarter,
Oh, they be rolling.
Immaculate.
They be out there
Kyle's
like-
smiling,
They
jiggling,
be-
dude.
Yep, Max out there talking about.
Yeah, dude. Everyone's having fun. Third quarter hits.
The
Reality
legs
sets
are
in,
gone.
bro. They're
The
tired.
legs are.
There ain't enough Gatorade in the world.
They missed how many free throws last night? And
They're
like
That's
you know,
tired.
exhausted, dude.
and like
That's
Tiff used to
mentally.
play, like like shooting free throws with no legs, like you know
Yep.
you not making.
Yep.
It
You
doesn't matter.
yo, you don't even want to go to the line. That's when you just start dribbling around people. Nope. Don't touch me. Nope.
Tim, I told you the other day, I go, Max's face in the second half of that game, he had like
Man.
that like open mouth, like
Yes.
it looked I told you it looked like his credit card got declined on a date.
No, and the best part is that like between him and Caleb, it's like they need to be in their roles. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
know that. Like we know they're successful when they're doing the things they can do. But when we got them running point, we got them boxing out Gobert. Like, come on. These things just don't work.
And
And meanwhile, can we just applaud? Was that Erie giving Gobert the business?
Oh, dude, he was on his ass. Oh my, you know, Karate, he hasn't gotten the ball the whole game. He doesn't have a single field goal. Could you, Karate? It's 6 minutes into the fourth quarter, and Gobert's taking his first free. I'm like, goddamn,
No, but I love when Cardi gets involved in it too. Like that one play where Rudy like faked like
When he
hit in the
fell?
face,
Yeah,
and
when he
Cardi started
fell.
chanting Rudy.
Rudy. When he was laying on the floor, he was like, Rudy. What was it? Obear.
Karate's like low-key hilarious sometimes,
Yo.
dude.
Like when he decides to join E Reed and being an asshole, like it's you can't-
Yo, you see that? Look what we do when the team's bad. What do you think they're gonna do?
Oh my God.
That's what we do.
It's because it's like, yo,
What
I'm
else you
sorry, but
got?
I've been low key laughing at some of these plays because
Oh, they're
like,
hilarious.
I
We gotta
know
do a top
good
five.
well in hell, yo, I know good well in hell. Caleb ain't got no back to the basket, spin, double clutch, up and under, but he be doing it.
Tiff, we gotta do like a Tiff top 5 funniest plays from the losing streak next hot.
but like to this point, like with them being out of their roles, even with their roles, it takes so much energy for them to do what they do. Max is running 100 miles a game trying to get open. Caleb is literally the energy guy
All the
Like,
time.
and they have no backups right now.
No,
None.
and so-
How many times?
Penny, he's
Penny,
not
how
just
many
an
times have
energy.
you seen that famous? How many times have we seen that famous Caleb dunk? It's kind of like Statue of Liberty, but not really. How
Yeah.
many times have we seen it? Twice in the last 2
Well, he
weeks.
missed one. You know, he missed one the other day. Caleb's not only the energy guy; it's also the hey, Caleb. When Kyle's on the bench, could you handle the ball?
When
by-
he's on the bench, and
by the
even
way,
when they're
Kenny.
healthy, like, hey, Caleb, come guard these point guards for us.
Yep.
Like,
So, Kenny, to your point earlier about Jovic and like kind of backup guard as we were joking. So the minutes where Jovic is on the floor and Kyle sits, typically that's been pretty exclusively, okay, we have no point guard. They're minus 16 per 100 possessions. The offensive rating is 78.
Damn, we could do better than that.
That's when Kyle sits. Their offense is like, you know what I mean? So these dudes fight. They're fighting for their lives.
For real.
I have never missed Gabe Vincent so much in my life.
Man.
I do too, but dude is like shooting 20% from three. So it's like, what are you gonna do?
Somebody got to be able to handle the ball a
you
little
give
bit.
somebody a break.
Yeah, no, for sure. They all
sub.
bro. They all Tiff. How did this happen? Why do they all suck from three?
Man.
Bro,
I
like
don't know.
I look at the 3-point shooting and I was like, bro, what happened to Max? Like, man, like 35, Caleb's okay, but he doesn't shoot enough. Then I'm like, oh man, Jimmy 35, kind of nice. And what's Gabe at? Gabe's at 32. And then you get to Kyle and you're like 35, shit, that's pretty decent.
No, but why is Deadman so good? What is happening?
Because he coming. What is he taking? 2 a game?
He's at 40.
I feel like
he doesn't even qualify. He's taking so few threes that he doesn't even be qualified to get ranked. Same with Caleb. So like their best shooters. Oh no, Caleb just got ranked. I'm sorry. Excuse me. 64th percentile. Put some respect on your name, Caleb Martin. I saw Twitter I saw like other team Twitter making fun of Bam taking a 3. Like, kind of, Bam for 3, and it's like people ducking and fucking explosions. And I was like, I can't even blame him. That's funny.
But why did they end on 2 Bam 3s in a row?
You know what the problem is, Kenny? At the
Kenny,
end of the
why?
game,
Like-
at the end of the game, who do they have to inbound the ball?
That's it.
It's
Yeah,
just
it's-
Kyle, and Kyle has to
That's
do
it.
everything on offense. So it's
Well,
like,
here's the thing too, G. Okay, so when they lost at
Washington, Minnesota.
we went into overtime. Where was that? Was that
Washington,
DC?
Washington, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Washington.
It all kind of
So-
melds together.
Right. But here was the thing where this is when it's like people just like watching the game, but they don't know what they're looking at. What was it so what was it at the end of overtime when we had the ball? 2.9? It was like 2.8, 2.9 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Kyle
2.9.
takes right. So Kyle is inbounding the ball. Okay, number one, we have nobody else that can inbound the ball. So you need him to inbound the ball, right? Okay, so people didn't realize that. That was the first mistake where everybody's like, why is he inbounding the ball? Who the hell else is going to inbound the ball? Like, Jimmy ain't there. Like, Jimmy
Gabe
is not
is
there.
active?
Bam.
Gabe's active?
Yeah, well, Gabe was on one leg. Bam wasn't there.
It's an
So-
arm thing, Tiff. It's an arm thing.
Right. We ain't have the arm things that night. But that was the first thing. Then the second thing was everybody was pissed off because the play called was for a max 3. Who the hell else got the skill set to create their own shot in that amount of time? Who on the court? Kyle is like fucking molasses. God bless him. Wasn't no way he was gonna be able to get to his spot
In 2 seconds.
and get the shot off in 2.9.
He can't do that healthy.
Exactly. Y'all wanted more Caleb? No, y'all didn't. Y'all didn't want Caleb. Y'all like, come on. Everybody like doesn't understand that was the only play. Like literally.
And
Max,
they knew,
it's
and
to
they got a
you.
great look.
And he
They
got a
did.
great look. But that's what people didn't get. Everybody was pissed off. Like, oh, I can't believe Spo called that. Who the hell else was gonna do something? Like, this is what people don't get. Like, they have who they have. Caleb is not Jimmy.
As much as we want to pretend, sometimes he ain't. I want to address a couple things in chat. Somebody said, why don't they run DHO with Jovic and Bam? That is the easiest switch alive. And if you're Miami, you just don't want to invite any kind of switches, especially to
No.
Yeah, that would work. That was cute when the Lakers used to do like Odom Bynum pick and rolls.
Right.
And Odom would fucking smoke any of these dudes in a skills competition.
Yeah, he was sick
yeah,
with the
Odom
ball.
was and one, between the
Yeah.
legs. That was pre-Kardashian Odom. That was wild. And then somebody else said ball movement always goes to hell in the second half. Disagree. I think shots stop falling. I do think that they move the
Right.
ball.
Right.
They get downhill and they kind of sprayed out the shooters. But teams know it's like, let's pack the paint. These guys can't finish, and these guys can't shoot. So that's kind of it. Somebody also said Gabe inbounding from a wheelchair. The last thing I want to address, and it's kind of the next topic, and we can kind of close out from here. We forgot how this team got to where they did in the playoffs last year. It was working harder than their opponents. It's catching up to them physically and mentally. I don't think effort's a problem. I don't know about you guys. I see a team working their ass off.
Yeah, it's not effort.
It's not effort. I mean, like, listen, we just talked about Highsmith, giving it everything he has.
Right.
And everything he doesn't. Kyle, Max, Caleb, they're all trying. You know what I mean? And they play fast. Like with Jimmy out, Kyle, I think, recognizes like the only way we can fucking score is if we fucking run. And they're right. And I mean, I feel bad for them, Tiff, because I think given the circumstances, they haven't played that bad. They have lapses where like they only lost the third quarter and they played like dog shit, and that unfortunately cost you the game. But like I think given their situations, they've put themselves in positions to win every game except the Cleveland game. Which fine, Cleveland's a good team. They're gonna rock you without your best players. On the road?
It's the thing that like people forget. You have all this enthusiasm and all this energy to start a game. That can carry you the first and second quarter. But so it's been carrying 7 and less players for 2 quarters. The problem is that there's a second part of the game. So after you've run everyone into the ground, physically the legs go. Mentally the mind goes. That's why we're seeing so many mistakes at the end of the game. They're mentally tired. They're physically tired. We're playing all guards, and I don't know, because Deadman sometimes is doing something, sometimes is not doing something. Jovic is really a guard. Let's be honest, he's just a tall guard. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, these guys are running. Kyle has them moving. They can't sustain it.
It's
that's the problem.
Mental exhaustion.
Yeah, and you can't be like. That's why I keep saying like. We knew it was going to be a slow start. When you looked at the roster, anybody that thought they were going to come out smoking, they're lying.
And the schedule was tough.
And the schedule was tough.
A lot of hard opponents.
We knew it. Yeah. And we said there'd be an adjustment period. The problem is that like we were hoping the adjustment period would come without injuries. That's the difference. Like, and it's okay to say like, damn, I wasn't counting for injuries because you're hoping you could get through the first 15 games without massive injuries. Like it is what this is just literally what it is. They just gotta stay afloat, and I just keep saying it. Stay afloat. And I said they'd be a 5th seed. If you can get to the 5 or to the 6 by the trade deadline, and then you don't think so, G?
No, I'm like praying. Like
okay.
I've been consistent.
I thought that was like.
Oh no!
I'm like guns or something. Like
my fat fingers. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, but that's all they can do at this point is try to stay afloat and get one of those spots, and then you let management evaluate the team and say, "Oh, this guy would be perfect. Like if we go get this guy, this elevates our chances." Like that's just what you have to hope for. That's it.
I think like if we start, Kenny, we'll go to you right now. When you started the season, I think you would have thought, okay, well, we don't need a shooter. We just need a 4. Well, now the math has changed, right? Now I think, you have to really look at your options about what's available. And maybe, maybe your priorities are different because you've seen kind of how things have happened and whatever. To the point of the effort, and everything that you said, I mean, and still at the end of the game, you have Kyle on Cat, guarding him twice in the post and forcing 2 stops, right? And that's not to propagate like a thing, but like this team has a lot of fight, has a lot of character, and I think it sucks when people are just like, oh, this is an effort. They're just not able right now. And I'll close on this, and then we'll go to Kenny. I've talked a lot. I play competitive Super Smash Bros. Melee, and one of the greatest players, Armada, used to talk about, when you compete, you're never gonna be at your A game every single day. You need to rely your B game and your C+ game has to be so much better than everybody else's to be the best. Because this is one of the GOATs. This is like the banner of excellence and consistency. And last year, the Heat's B and C games were fantastic. Without Jimmy, without these guys, the Max would step up, Gabe stepped up, Kyle stepped up, Dead, all these guys stepped up and their B, and last year's team had a bit of steeliness to them because they would steal road games. They'd steal games when they had no business doing it. This team is absolutely different. It's just totally opposite.
And I think part of that is, I think we do have to be honest and just say last year's team kind of did, like, that was just, I'm not going to say overachieved. I don't believe that, but they just did some miraculous stuff that you probably shouldn't expect to happen again. And so I would see that as different. But Aaron Whitman pointed out something right before we got on, sort of. So Bam, Jimmy, and Tyler haven't played together since the first of this month, and it's the 22nd right now. And so it's just they've had no time to really figure this new lineup out yet. They've had no consistency. Like it's one thing if you have guys out for a long time and the other guys know who else is gonna be in or out. But every other game, the injury report is completely different. And so it's just there's no way to catch a rhythm with that, even if you do have a little more bodies. And so it's a tough stretch. Thankfully, it's happening in November, and there's still a lot of season to go. So hopefully guys come back and things look better. But right now, it's just a really tough position for them to be in.
It's tough. It's a no-win position. I think that people who are upset at the offseason are obviously justified in being so, and I think there's a lot of nuance to be had about what's happening, what's going on, and the reality of who they are, and the reality of they're depending on a lot of old guys. And like I've talked about before, you know, when their big offseason acquisition got hurt in the playoffs, that torpedoed their season. And there was really very little recovering from that because even if they pulled out that game against Boston, the Warriors are probably going to run through them. So it kind of is what it is. They took a big swing, and now they're going to have, you know, you just don't retool immediately. You know, give them time. I think the organization has proved that they're not stupid and everything. So we'll see where this season goes. We will be laughing with you every step of the way. I'll see you tomorrow for MHB postgame show following Heat Wizards. Kenny and Frankie got you for pre-gaming, and then hangover time next week. Heat Celtics. That'll be a fun one. Tiff, Alf, the crew, everybody. We love you guys. You know, enjoy your holiday if you not with us tomorrow. Enjoy your Drinksgiving, Friendsgiving, whatever y'all do on Wednesday. And we'll see you for game day coverage if you're there.